Greetings, invaders. My name is Scott. This is Book Invasion. Thanks for joining me, where we talk about some sci-fi, horror, fantasy books. Today we're tackling Nophek by Essa Hansen. This is a debut novel from a brand new author, breaking onto the sci-fi scene from Orbit Books. And right off the bat, let's talk about a few things. First, we have this epic, awesome spaceship on the cover, and the title, Nophek Gloss, is kind of a bold title for a debut. But we'll get to that in a little bit. This book was also a Reddit Fantasy finalist for the Stabby Awards for Best Debut. So let's talk a little bit about the author, Essa Hansen. Now, this is her first published novel. She's written others, but they were not published. She is a sound designer at Skywalker Sound, and she has described herself as neurodivergent. She said she also has the synesthesia, where she can kind of feel and see different sounds, hence being a sound designer, and she uses that study of kind of the way that sound works into her writing and, you know, the tension that builds and things like that. And she is also a swordswoman and a falconer, which is pretty awesome. So what is Nophek Gloss about? It is about a displaced young man whose planet is kind of destroyed for economic gain by these slavers, these kind of masked military gray trench coat wearing guys who kind of come to his planet and say, all right, everybody come, we're here to rescue you and relocate you to a new planet. Go ahead and hop in this mysterious like black box and everything will be okay, trust us. But then obviously it's not. So then after all of those events transpire, Cain kind of awakens in the rubble and destruction. There's bodies and things everywhere, so he kind of rises from the ashes and then gets filled with rage of revenge and this hatred of things. And he has this small world view from his own little ho-hum planets. It has a very Darrow from Red Rising kind of feel that I feel like, you know, the Caden has a similar path where he's on this planet. He lives a sheltered life of repetition, doing the same kind of thing. He doesn't really go out to travel at all. He hasn't seen outside of his world. But then the wool is lifted from his eyes amongst this horrific trauma, and he's thrown out into the world. And all the while seeking revenge for the destruction of his people. So that part of it was really similar, I felt. And in the beginning of the story, Caden, the main character, I think is a teenager. So there's a little bit of brashness and impulsiveness to the character that we see that changes later on in the book. So we do have this kind of farm boy, almost chosen one trope where he arises from this destruction and trauma. He kind of happenstance stumbles upon this buried ship of ancient technology and, you know, then vows to take his revenge amongst the people who had destroyed his people. That's kind of the story in a nutshell. Now, where it gets interesting is there's also a transformation in the character that happens in midway through the book, kind of like, again, like Red Rising, transforming Darrow from a red to a gold. There's a part of that here where they kind of fast track that evolution. They have technology kind of do that. And he also kind of runs into a found family, which I felt played really well, similar to Becky Chambers' Long Way to a Small Angular Planet, the Wayfarer series. There's a crew, the misfit space crew of aliens kind of here are, you know, they're all kind of augmented robotically. They're all kind of humanoid in nature. They're not too crazy aliens. They can all speak English. One can wear their emotions through their technology. One has like a little whipkin, they call it, a little furry creature that wraps around his neck. And there are a lot of different races that you get to see and explore, a lot of different cultures in this space crew that you get to understand. And now the world that this all takes place in is also, I give kudos to the concepts that are at play amongst the world here. So what we have are stellar egresses, and if you have the physical book, you can check the glossary in the back, which kind of explains the terminology, but it's all framed in a way that the reader's not going to get lost. Like, I didn't even know that there was a glossary until I kind of flipped through it later, but if you have this on audio and you don't have the visual, like, you're not going to miss out on these explanations. So here's one for stellar egress. It's defined as an instantaneous space-time shortcut from one specific location in the multiverse to another. All egresses are both entrance and exit points. They not only cut down on travel time, but allow entrance into universes while bypassing the need to cross through their rind. So the rind is kind of the outer part of this bubble, and this is all happening in kind of a bubble multiverse. So there's rinds in from one bubble to another that you have to cross. Some of them are easier to cross than others, and you'll see later on in the book when this technology evolves that the rind of the bubble could disintegrate a person's body if it's so volatile that way. And part of that is happening in this ship where it can kind of create its own universe on the fly, which is really kind of awesome. And now there are other terms in here, such as a dynast. A dynast is the governing endarchy of unity. And what is unity? Unity is once the sole universe. Unity is the largest and central world of the multiverse. And now for the title of the book, Nophek Gloss. A Nophek is a rare quadruped mammal species from an unknown native planet. Their biology can only exist in specific universal parameters without medical intervention. Nophek are vicious and intelligent carnivorous pack animals, reddish-black in color. Their muscular bodies range from 1 to 2 meters tall at the withers. They are covered in a mix of fur, mane, and rough skin. As a Nophek matures, highly valuable gloss crystallizes within a gland in its brain. So that is what kind of the universe is all after in this book, is this Nophek gloss. That's gold, essentially, throughout these multiverses. And so there are a lot of kind of made-up words in here, but they're not to the extreme. And when you come across them in the book, you'll get a little bit of explanation. They have to explain it to Caden, the main character, because he's kind of new to all these things. So you kind of get it fed to you as you go along without having to have an info dump type of section in the book. So the pacing doesn't really stop to explain these things to you. It all kind of like goes and flows really nicely. So I felt like the world that this takes place in was very unique, and the way that this ship travels and the universes that it goes through and this kind of bubble multiverse that was all kind of set on the same timeline was really cool and unique. Like I give it bonus points for that being a debut novel, that's kind of the concepts that are really well played out throughout the book. That's good stuff. And so as we follow Caden along on his journey for revenge, there's kind of an unlikely alliance that happens between the good forces of good and forces of evil, so to speak. And that really played a lot to the tension, the curiosity of the story. Like you always wanted to know what's going to happen, because is this the point where the double cross is going to happen, and is somebody going to get a knife in their back? You're not really sure throughout the second half of the story, and it really kind of kept you guessing, and it was not one where you assume that the hero is just going to tackle everybody at the whim of his well-being. You know, he's kind of put under the thumb of the evil overlord at the beginning of the book, and we're always kind of questioning whether or not the hammer's going to drop, and this is all going to come to just an abrupt end. So without spoiling the book, that really kind of sucked me through most of the story, is that when is this going to trigger, and who's really playing who? What's the motive here? That really always kind of piques my curiosity and keeps me guessing throughout the book. All the while, there's action scenes, there's spaceship fights, there are gruesome torture scenes, there's a lot of PTSD that Caden goes through from the trauma early on in the book. There is mentions of torture and people being used to bend their will through torturous means and things like that. There's kind of brutal descriptions of them against the Nophek, which are fictional animals, so if you don't like that, then steer away. I also really liked the found family. I wish we would have spent more time a little bit on their backstory. I really liked Lathan and Titan and Katsinye and En. They're really cool characters, I felt, and their uniqueness kind of played a lot to the stories. But all in all, I'll give the book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I thought it was a great fresh read with the technology concepts, the emotional battles, the kind of coming-of-age story, the alliances that need to be formed, the space travel and spaceships that are going on, the weapons, and kind of the Nophek, so to speak. So I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed reading it. It was a great experience. And book 2, Azura's Ghost, the cover is revealed now, and I'm super excited to get into that one too. So if you're looking for a new, good space action mix of, take Red Rising and put it in a Becky Chambers story, and throw in these like giant ox things with crystals growing in their brain, that's kind of Nophek Gloss at a glance. It's a revenge story, a coming-of-age story. All the while, there are crazy technologies that are going on, and it's a great sci-fi story. So I'd recommend that you check it out. Thanks for watching, everybody. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. Thanks, bye-bye.